Heritage Commission on at 6, and we have a rep from Light Tech at 7. Before we start, if we'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because I'm living the same age as Mr. Kotzen.
I bet your wife has an email. I'll get a hold of you.
I have a flip phone, if that tells you anything.
So, we did receive correspondence of the resignation of Carmen Madrid and the Heritage Commission's recommendation to appoint Mr. Kotzen in her place. And I understand he'll be relocating permanently from Florida to the lovely residents of New Ipswich.
Yes, glad to be home.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Getting a little too warm down there, I bet, huh?
Wasn't that long.
No?
No. Nope.
And I don't know if you've heard anything, but I know of one person who is interested in perhaps being an alternate. I told her to contact you. I haven't had anybody yet. Yeah.
Entertain a motion or discussion on that?
Motion to accept Mr. Kotzen's appointment to the Heritage Commission.
Is there a second?
I'm not sure I know enough about this gentleman yet. I'll second that.
Oh, no.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're on the hook, Dave.
Thank you.
20-year stretch.
Yeah.
And what do you have for new business for the board?
Well, I have I just want to, I guess, open up a discussion about the failure of the bid for the sill for the old town hall.
Mhm.
So, the town put out a bid for that, and apparently, my understanding is that nobody responded during the time frame, and one person responded after, or something like that. And I guess so, my question is, like, where do we stand and how do we, now what do we do? That's the discussion I want to have.
Joanne provided us with copies of the one company that did submit a proposal back in December. Extremely loose estimate of sill repair.
If I was with them when he was doing it, until you get into it, you really don't know.
Right, and that's the issue you're gonna have.
Yeah.
I mean,
With anybody.
with anybody and with a building that age, it's not just fixing the sill. As soon as you start to, only reason I'm even looking at is, I was across the street when we had to get the church done.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start with a building that old, you start pulling in walls, it's just one thing after another after another. And the issue you have is, we had Josh Kivela, who's a structural engineer, come out and look at the building when the church was seeing if there was anything they could do to help with repair. And his recommendation is you may have someone put in a bid. Soon as they break the first piece of the wall off, the bid's out the door, it doesn't matter, and you still may never have an engineer that will sign off to say that the building is inhabitable. So repairing the sill is only the start to a huge domino effect going forward. I'm not, trust me, I have a personal stake in that building being able to be used again. It does not surprise me that this is the only person who was even willing to, and even they won't even put a stamp on sticking with that number.
This,
Well, but, yeah, and I also want to ask a question, because that is so narrow in scope, and I don't know if you do, like, what kind of bids you accept, like time and materials or no, or what the options are, but because it's so narrow in scope, is that not a reason that maybe we didn't get any bids?
You read the RFP that went out, right?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah.
It was worded, or it was even stipulated,
Okay, the first
what
one.
the scope was as far as just getting the material off the building, and then everything was going to be a unit cost based on what they see
find.
once they're there. So it's not like, this wasn't a request for proposal where we're trying to put somebody out on the limb to have to know what's there and pay for it.
Yeah.
It was, okay, we have siding to remove, so include that. We know that's gonna come off.
Right,
And then look at it and give us a cost per foot, I think it was, or whatever, for
right.
replacement.
I remember that, yeah.
Uh,
Investigating, I mean, a lot of it is investigating the condition of it.
Yeah. But I think based on what's out there, we did determine that it's primarily that sill that has deteriorated that would need to be replaced, and it's not something that we need to get an engineer involved with.
No, but it's a matter of, I mean, it's, the sill has deteriorated, which then the building dropped.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, you know, and I didn't see the original, so I mean, are we just saying that we want to stop the current sill from deteriorating more so that the building doesn't drop anymore, or was this RFP actually asking them to start to jack that part of the building back up to straighten it out?
Okay, it says replace the sill on the southern side of the building to include removing the lower portion of the clapboard along the entire length, remove the lower portion of the sheathing, remove the frame from the foundation level, then investigate the condition, replace based on unit cost for sill replacement and leveling to repair the floor.
To that level of sill, replace the sill, level of floor.
Because if you go inside, you can just
yeah.
about see that it's not much, because I think the structure is holding that floor there, even though the sill is rotted, but you're gonna have to make sure it's level.
And then there's also a note on there that says no additional work that would incur cost shall be done without written authorization from the town of New Ipswich. So I mean, I don't get why we didn't get any bids.
People were busy, just like they are now.
But is it because the job is too small for them to do?
I would have
I
thought
mean, that's what I'm
more
afraid
of the local, smaller firms would have been interested. The other thing that I've always advocated, we didn't do it here, but a lot of times it takes to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Hey, we've got this here, we're looking to see if you're interested in giving us a price.
I call, the Donald Rand,
Mm-hmm.
that's what he does.
Did he? But I thought he retired.
Yeah, he's just down the road, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
said, give him a
yeah.
call, if he's just down the road, he might take it.
And he did the work for
He didn't
us.
return my call, that's
Yeah.
the machine.
Yeah. But,
I know he's been working down in Mass pretty considerably.
did he
on some-
retire?
Semi.
Semi.
I mean,
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
his son's doing a lot of the work with him and things like that, but they've been, I know, last summer, I just wanted him to come up and look at something at the house, and he was out straight, so.
Here's a thought. I've been involved with a building of a similar age, similar shape. That's a belfry with a bell on it, that's probably a bit of a difference, but, and got involved with restoring the whole building. Yes, it's not as easy as just starting construction and going straight up with a poured concrete foundation and all this other stuff. But I guess, and we used a contractor from Peterborough who was very good, who I don't even think even knew about this. And the only thing I have left to put on the building is handrails, and we're trying to figure out what we like for handrails. So we got something that looks like the rail out here for now. But anyway, my point is this. The town voted in a heritage commission And one of our charges is to try and say, you know, key items so that they can be used and enjoyed in the future, and they have some tie to the past. I think that's a loose way of looking at it. But if the town voted for us to exist, then I think we need to figure out how to go forward with it. John, you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get into. But that's the nature of the beast.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think what we have to do is figure out a way to tackle it and to get something started, because once we get something started, maybe we can get things
Yeah,
going.
I agree with you. Like I said, I'm just trying to answer why
Yeah.
why people wouldn't put a bid in. You know, it's one of those things. Are you afraid that you're going to pop the first board off and the rest of it just, and like, oh, am I stuck with that bill?
Yeah, the place
But that's, yeah, that's not the way it was worded, as you can see.
The place
Dave?
that I worked on, just,
I-
oh, sorry.
I think the bid you got was from my grandson, and I advised him not to do that. And he said, why not? And I said, because you're gonna have 20 supervisors, all experts, against you. And I told him, I wouldn't get into that.
And he didn't listen to you, but he didn't sign his name, so that's
I
why,
don't blame him.
I don't know who it was.
HDA?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yes.
yeah.
Because you're gonna have a bunch of supervisors that are all experts, I'm sure, in this type of thing. And, I said, I wouldn't, I think that's
Well,
why.
but how
But that's
nobody
not-
else bid
Yeah.
on it, because you're gonna have 20 supposedly experts watching over you.
Mhm.
So explain this to me, what you mean by this.
Well, you got the Heritage Commission are all gonna be involved, and then anybody, interested parties, maybe selectmen, maybe, other people interested in it.
But that's not.
But I don't think any of us plan on standing there, Dave, to watch them work.
Excuse me.
Well, I don't know about that. That
Well,
was my advice. to him.
Right, well,
And
you
if I
get,
wa- If I was a small-time contractor, I think that's part of the problem why you didn't get any bidders. For a piddly job like that, and you watch, whoever does that, if you ever find anybody, you're gonna have all kinds of supervision.
Yeah, well, that's
Watching
something,
over
that's
Well,
something
that
that
would be true for
would need to
any
be
building.
addressed by the board and by the Heritage Commission.
Yeah.
And listen, this isn't everybody's opinion here. We've hired somebody to do this, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
and that's
So,
why,
I mean,
Exactly,
they're the
yeah.
expert, and they would come to
Right.
whoever for, anything that's unexpected that they find.
But there's
and that's why
always-
the RFP was written, that we would be in contact with the town's representative.
Right.
There's always sidewalk supers, Dave, you know?
Yeah,
I guess the question is, can we try and do it again?
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but I
mean,
think
is that the approach
It should
to
probably
the
be
same thing?
no, it should be targeted to certain companies.
Well, we did that, but we did that, remember, Joanne? I came up with a list from the, New Hampshire Preservation, whatever, of the people who have experience doing structural, fixes to old
Mhm.
buildings.
Mhm.
And we targeted them directly.
You sent it to them.
Yeah.
I'm talking, pick up the phone, talk to the person.
But
I find in my business, we do the same thing. A lot of times, it's a mass email. We'll send it out to subcontractors and vendors and whatnot. You might get some of them to respond, but you pick up the phone and you explain to them what it is. Oh, and they may say, no, I'm too busy, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at least you've made that contact with them, rather than wondering,
but
did
that
they ever
may-
see it?
But that may be the issue too, is if you're targeting a specialized contractor, I think like David said, they may be busy.
Right.
I mean,
Well, we
if
put out general-
Mr. Coffey knows someone that we should target, then target that person specifically. But, I mean, I think when the church looked at it, I think they had Hutter. Just someone from Hutter come out and take a look and see what's there, what are some possibilities to at least stop the continuation of the sill falling, you know, and that's probably why you don't have some of the smaller local guys, because if we did send out a target mailing or a target contact,
But we did both. Right? Right, Joanne? We put it in the paper, we put it on the town website, and we
We had a gentleman come in, I sat on a town hall committee, I don't know how many years I'm going back now, probably 4 or 5. Local guy, he said he'd do whatever he could to help us out and do it, and I'm not sure why that fell apart. I don't, I wish I could remember, but it's one of those things that's not happening.
Yeah, you will.
Did this thing go
Right.
out to like
Billy
the
was
Dodge
there.
report and those type of publications?
Did it or can it?
What's the Dodge report?
That's
It's-
a way to advertise for nothing and hit 1,000 people or more.
Yeah,
There's people that look at all the ads that are out there, pull them in, and then feed it to people who subscribe to their service. The Dodge report is a publication. There's, I think, 1 or 2 others that operate around
Yep.
here.
Yep.
I've had great success with getting responses off that.
see, normally when you're looking at that, from my experience, we deal with that, is that it's when you have a new project or something of substance.
Yeah,
When it's these
I know.
small things, those contractors aren't looking at Dodge or Construction Summary or. But I'd be willing to go out on a limb and make contacts with some construction companies in
I
the
could-
area.
I could talk to the guy who did the, not only did he.
Is
do
he
the
on
building-
137 or
Huh?
136? I'm wondering, the guy that you're referencing? That you had,
What year?
no,
Oh,
no,
is he on
Route
Route
130, that's 137, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 137?
No, this guy's right on 202.
Okay, okay.
Oh, I know, Gibbon, is it Pagan?
No, the guy that did the work and started on the town hall, he also did a lot of work as a sub in Hancock, was Dave Cutter.
Yeah.
Cutter Construction.
Quite a-
He did a phenomenal job. I mean, if you walk in the building,
Mhm.
you'd say the whole, everything, including the parts that are new, look like they belong.
Nice.
It just all blends together, okay? And he did a fantastic job. He did end up under the building. The last thing we did was replace the steps in the front with granite. And the top step is a monstrous slab of granite, because it's a big opening. And he did granite work on the foundation, and they were all over the underside of the thing. Fortunately, they didn't have to rebuild the underside, but they had to rebuild part of the granite wall that holds the building up.
Mhm.
But, I mean, so there are people out there that can do it.
So,
I think
so I have a couple.
David had a question. Do you have a question?
I had your father-in-law, I believe, was involved in, he was all set to get that repaired, and then, I don't know, the 20 people that are gonna be overseeing this got involved, and that was the end of that.
No, I sat on that same
Yeah,
committee
same
with,
committee.
with Kivy, Dave.
Yes.
And it's coming back to me. We had somebody willing to do the project, and then we were told unless they're, New England Building Antiquity certified or some, then
That's-
they wouldn't release the monies. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then that's what happened.
This is for the old town hall.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it, when you said that, I was like, that's right, you were on the
Not
thing.
long ago,
Yeah.
a year ago.
It was like, it was
No,
a couple of years.
David-
Yeah, 3 years ago.
3 years ago probably.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been on the
Very
board
recently.
for over 3
When-
years, and
when
it
we,
was prior to
So
that.
maybe.
What year for?
When it was,
I'm in year 4.
It was put on
when
as
it
a
was,
warrant article.
For what, the
when you couldn't use it for the church to use it because it was unsafe.
Right.
Well, we've had.
Shortly after that, Mr. Kibler went and had everything lined up, what to do and how to do it, and then that fell apart.
That's what we were
Changed.
told, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Kivy, myself, 3 or 4 other people.
Yes,
Lars Traffy was part of that committee, and he was willing to,
yes,
he said, I'll do what needs to be done. He said, what do you got for money? If it costs any more than that, don't worry about it.
yeah.
Well, so why can't we go back to that?
Because I'm still under the impression that it's gotta be done to a certain specification because it's a nationally
right.
registered.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
see,
go back
so
to that
educate me.
and go back to that original proposal
Mhm.
and directly contact the people who are certified. You know, pick up the phone and call these people and see, I mean, cause it sounds to me like the job is a little different initially, wasn't it?
Well,
Do they have to be certified?
Well, that's the question. That was the whole thing. We were told they did, so that's why Kivy and I and Now that Ed Rogers was on that committee,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, there is no requirement by the National Park Service for a contractor to be registered with anyone to perform work on a historic structure registered under the National Park Service.
yeah, that's not
But so
what we
you
were told.
would then just review their qualifications
What's that?
by
That's
seeing
not
the
what we were
work
told
that
when I
they've
sat on
done
the
and
town
all
hall
that kind of
committee.
stuff, right?
And the only reason I say that is I did one.
Yeah, you.
And, you know, I dealt with the National Park Service on it, and we're not certified to be doing, you know, historic structures or anything to that effect.
The buildings I got involved with at work are listed buildings, historic
Yeah,
buildings. And we did have an architect advise and set up the specs, but we did the whole building,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, how much money, Jim?
I'd have to go add it up, but.
Roughly.
More than $20?
It was more than $25,000, yeah, but it was done over a number of years.
yeah.
The windows were all taken down and reglazed, and the building was kept operating while it was going on. The siding was all replaced because it was shot.
See,
And we
this is,
got all done, the heating bill dropped by about 80%.
and this is that first step to doing this stuff here in the town hall. We gotta correct this
You gotta
issue
get
and then,
the bottom's gotta be good. so
Right.
you can go
Right,
up.
right. But I think the other thing is it has to probably be emphasized that it's the first step,
Mhm.
and maybe that didn't come across. And so if it's identified as the first step, then that means there's potential additional work to be done.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
I don't believe that was in the RFP, I don't think we acknowledged that.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. The old RFP, is that still somehow accessible? And should we compare the two and see, you know, what the difference is? And I guess put it out again and come up with a list of people to target by phone specifically?
What two are you planning to compare it to? I'm only aware of that one RFP. Is there another one that's,
Well, there's our RFP, and then there's one apparently that's before you. Was
I
that
don't
not an
think it was
RFP or
I
no?
don't,
Am I
I
mistaken?
don't think it was a request for a proposal, I think it was, Lars was willing to just come in and help us do whatever needed to be done. Because that's how he is, and he just, he said, what do you need to do, and I don't know how much
Yeah,
money
okay.
we had, I don't know.
So it
if
was
we-
informal? It was
Yeah,
informal?
I don't know if we were talking 15 or 20,000, and we thought it might go more than that, and he said, don't worry about any overages. You know, he
So
was
how
gonna-
was, how was the size of the job defined? Like, did it go beyond the sill?
Yeah, I believe it was one whole side of the building, we talked about, doing some extensive work down there, but I don't know as if we ever wrote anything up. I'd have to,
just get it fixed?
right, I think that's pretty much what we
Yeah.
talked with Lars, and Ed and Lars were talking, and it's like, well, yeah, whatever we're gonna do to get it fixed.
To get it usable,
Right,
yeah.
so,
I'm just, you know, when you talk about
That's-
historic
that's a town.
preservation contractors, I'm on their New Hampshire Preservation site, and there's many companies that do it.
Mhm.
We contacted them all, Richmond. I gave her written, got a whole bunch of names and sent them to Jillian. But we can contact them directly. But I guess it falls back on us, then we'll contact them directly and find out why, you know, if there was a reason why they were not interested in bidding. I just don't know what the next step is. I mean,
I
I
just
don't
think
wanna
it's-
just throw it out there again and have no response.
But like, before you make a call, I think you need to look into the company to see what it is they do. Okay, for example, when I'm looking at some items here, there's a firm's name that I noticed, and I'm saying, okay. But I know they're an engineering firm, they're not a builder. So it's to know, am I contacting the right people? Are they somewhat local? In other words, they're not out of Vermont, because I don't think we're
But I
gonna
think
get,
I think I did that.
okay, just,
had one guy from Ohio call me. Cause he thought it was, okay, I'll do the sills, the siding, the windows and painting on my way out, but no, this is it, and it stops
Yeah,
until the next.
yeah.
Well, okay, I'm not-
Yeah, right, probably goes all over the country doing it.
Yeah.
That's why if you've got information for the firm that did the work and started.
Yeah, I do, and quite frankly, the way we got them was through an architect. We started with an architect. And there was a relationship between the architect and that firm. The architect did a lot of historic preservation. Unfortunately, he's since passed away, but, he was very good.
Yeah. I'm
And
trying to
so,
think, there's a firm that's on that 137 that had quoted work at the old town hall years
I can
ago
see the
when,
sign, but I can't see the name.
yeah, I'm trying to think, we must have done a new roof on that building,
Which
because I think it was,
part of 137?
on the right-hand side as you're driving towards Greenfield. I can picture his sign there.
Okay.
It's a blue sign.
Okay.
And he had quoted the roofing, and I think at the same time was when Mike Rand did the window renovations on the old town hall. But I can't think of the name. That's why I thought maybe you'd ring a bell.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, there's somebody out there that will probably do the job for a fair price and do a good
Yeah,
job. We just
yeah.
gotta find them,
Yep.
and they gotta find us.
Yeah, but so now, what I'm gonna do is find a way to identify how we're going to try and find them. Cause, you know, this has gone nowhere, and I wanna make sure it goes somewhere this time.
Well, I'd suggest one of the starting points be this New Hampshire Preservation.org website that has the list of
Yeah.
people. Jim has names. We can put it on the website for maybe some local contractors. Any other suggestions?
Well, I'm gonna talk with Lars about something else, so I can mention it if it's something he still has time or interest in doing.
That would be good.
I'd like to know, try to remember what it is we decided to do the last time when, with Ed and Billy and, I can't remember who else was part of the town hall committee.
If you encounter documentation of any
Right.
kind, that I would love to see that.
Talk to Billy, he keeps notebooks.
Yeah, I know somebody was keeping notes, it wasn't me.
He probably has his notebook for that.
Ed was probably taking notes, he did a lot of homework.
So I think what we as the Heritage Commission can do is gather that list of names and divvy it up and call and see if we get responses. And identify a couple of things. One is, you know, is it a job that you could do, and are you know, interested in it, and what, you know, are you busy or you're not busy? And if you're not interested in it, why are you not interested?
Is the problem the wood or the stone rubble holding it up, or both?
Both, yep.
The stone rubble gave way, which then caused the wood not to have anything to sit on.
Yep.
And then that started to go, and that's why, like, one of the windows is all crooked and
Yeah.
everything else. Yeah. But, I mean, it's still, it has, the building, I mean, still has such opportunity for great use. It'd be
Absolutely,
nice to
yeah,
see it,
I'd like to see that
you know,
come
so.
back to life.
It's amazing, like I said, the one I work on gets used every day. Literally, every day. There's exercise groups in there, yoga groups. There's the clerk's office is in it. And you know, it's got a list of functions a mile long, and we even have wedding receptions there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it really is a fun thing to have, and, you know, it's a centerpiece. I mean, that is the center portion of the town.
Right.
Yep.
So when we contact these people, will we, I'm thinking there are two different ways to do it. One is to find out if we need to create a modified RFP, or the other one is to just reopen that existing RFP and present it to them. I mean,
Well, what's wrong with the existing?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious.
well, I don't know,
Ah.
that's why, you know, cause I think we're gonna contact them, but I think we're also gonna need to do some fishing.
I think the original RFP is fine, cause it's gonna accomplish what we want to get done.
Okay.
You know, just ask them, you didn't have interest in the past, can I find out why?
Yeah, right, that's what I wanna know, so
Yeah.
that's our fishing expedition, so we may end up, if everybody says
Again, you
no
might
matter
only
what.
end up with one if you do it again, and
I know, that's
at
what-
that
yeah.
point, if you only have one, then that's the one you have, and I'd go for it personally.
All right, yeah, 'cause
Assuming
I
you think
wanna,
that it's gonna get done.
Right,
yeah,
it's-
yeah,
yeah,
I wanna
somebody-
be able to
somebody-
tell the town that we're gonna be able to do something
Right.
with it,
I think
yeah.
if you find anybody this time of year, they're gonna be too busy.
Yeah, but, and again, my suggestion would be, if they tell you they're too busy, ask them, well, would you be available in the fall?
Right.
You know,
When
we've
would you
waited
be
this
available?
long
Yeah, true.
that,
What's another 6?
We can be flexible.
Yeah.
Yes.
that other company that I was trying to think of is
Yeah.
RW Clark.
RW Clark?
CLARK?
Yeah.
Okay. Well said.
All right, and I would like to give us, some kind of a deadline to get back to you guys.
Tomorrow,
Do you mind?
day after?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Before the weekend. No, but, we meet on a monthly basis, so, and we've changed our days, and so our first one's coming up the 19th of April, so I think we need to get back to you, not by the end of our first meeting, but before our second meeting. So between April 19th and our next meeting, if there's a
May
time
17th.
that's, hmm?
It'd be May 17th.
Yeah. So can maybe we get on the agenda for
The 8th?
one of those? Yeah.
But I think we might be putting the cart before the horse. Why don't
Okay.
you make your contacts with the companies? See what time frame it's gonna take for them to be able to look at it and put together a proposal. And once you work that process through, then just contact Joanne and we
Yeah.
put you on the agenda.
All right, that's fine.
Otherwise, I think we're
That's
gonna
fine.
be
I
just
wanna
shooting
make
darts.
sure that we don't, I just wanna make sure that we don't just let it slide and so we can come up with our own internal deadlines.
Yep.
That's fine.
So who's the fifth member?
The fifth member.
No.
Oh, Stan.
Stan. Thank you.
Yeah, I sent an email out, just, you know, inviting everybody if they wanted to come. And he didn't respond, so I don't know if that means he hasn't even seen the email.
If any of us need to get sworn in, we can
Yes.
stop at the clerk's office on the way out.
Yes, because Stan is sworn in and I'm sworn in.
I just
I
get
got
sworn
sworn
out.
in for something else, now I gotta get sworn in for this.
Yeah.
How many times do you take the same oath?
Shouldn't be
Keep
the
taking
same,
it till you
right?
get it
Shouldn't there be a
right.
little change to that oath for every committee you sit on?
Well, you can throw the committee name in there, but
Or if you've been in that role and now your term's up and then you're staying in that role,
Yeah.
why are you taking it over again?
I was once, it must be 25 years ago, went to some sort of seminar or something, and it was pointed out that once you've taken the oath, you've taken the oath,
Yeah.
okay? But virtually every town makes its people take them over and over and over again. That's okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, may I just, one quick one, may I ask if you can think of anyone in particular for us to contact? Can you like maybe let Joanne know and she can let us know or let us know directly? We can add them to our list.
Okay,
A thought in the middle of the night comes to you?
I hope not.
Yeah, I know.
It's usually the way it works, so.
Thank you so much.
Did you bring an alternate?
Hmm?
Did you bring an alternate?
Oh, I
No,
just
yeah,
didn't
no.
See why she wastes time over here.
She always says just to get away from you.
Good idea. I'll give her
Dinner
Alright.
that.
time, it's dinner time.
The other thing on the agenda I forgot to mention was there was a petition in here to accept Westbrook Drive.
Thank you.
Always.
He's the fourth selectman.
I know it. You should look how much you missed.
I looked at it already.
Like a toothache. They missed me like.
Yeah, I didn't read through it, I didn't know what to do. I don't know about that.
How you doing? You missed it once before.
I told Jay I'm
Have
Hey,
you,
how you
you
doing?
had
Yeah,
it,
we
kind
yeah.
of a jerk about it. You bought a house in front of the road.
So, this is it.
Hi, James. Yeah.
Well, we just did Fairbanks
I
and
think
then
Maybe
we
we
and
can
the
run a
other
nice
two.
quick meeting.
You committed that before.
You came late.
Trying to make it quick and painless.
I came in on the back end of that one, so.
Good seeing you.
Same here.
How you been, Ellie?
I'm Ellie. We know each other.
How you been?
Jay Hopkins.
How do you know?
Nice to meet you, sir.
Recess.
Elliot, how much water you guys have in your basement next door?
How much?
Do y'all have
It's
it?
just kind of muddy.
Just kind of muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess. Really.
Oh, you guys got
Why,
water.
you got some solution?
No, the other day, no, we wish. It's on Saturday, we pumped water out of the lodge for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we got it down to where it was just muddy. We went back in last night, we had over 6 inches in there again,
No.
6 inches all over?
all over.
Oh, my God.
Is your broiler down
Not anymore.
there?
We ripped it out.
What's down there?
Nothing now, but it caused us. I mean, it basically, at the highest, we had over 3 feet of water down there.
Yeah.
No.
Just
We've
but we
had-
found out what it is the little brick house behind there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He ran a sump pump 24/7, 365. So when
In
he's
the middle of the winter, I saw them doing that.
yeah, when he bailed out,
Yeah,
he stopped pumping water.
yeah.
So now you got his
So
water.
now his basement's full and it flows into there.
Yeah.
But I mean, and it comes up. It's groundwater coming right out because
Yeah.
we had to replace some supports in the basement there,
Right.
and we were digging to try to pour footings.
Foundation.
And
Yeah.
as we were pouring concrete as quick as we could, just so the water wouldn't come up into the buckets
Oh
and
my
such.
Yeah.
So we just want curious how much, but you're a little bit higher than we are
Yeah.
up the
No,
hill.
but still, we get a heck of a lot of water because it's all stone
Yeah,
and there are gaps you can see out.
yeah.
Sorry.
So they pump all their basement,
I'm-
comes
I'm-
downhill.
I'm-
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm still, if anybody has a solution to the gaps between my stones, just let me know. I mean, besides the spray stuff,
Yeah.
there's something more economical than buying it at $4 a can, you know?
Right.
It's not gonna work.
No, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
We lived
I mean, there's
down the road, the other side of the
there's some
bridge.
stuff you can buy.
Sump pump ran.
Do you think that houses across the street have the same
Hydraulic.
problem?
Yes. In fact, I talked to so Roberta Pelledu, right, the little house there in between the gas station and the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she said when we had that heavy rain or whatever, she said like 4+ feet in her basement there. Like their furnace was underwater.
Oh, my.
But yeah, no, we just pulled, that's what we were doing this past weekend. We ripped out all the ductwork. The old furnace came out because we're putting in a new furnace in there.
Are you like putting it up on the first floor?
Yep,
Wow.
Good deal.
propane, direct vent,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And we just had a washer dryer put in,
That'll work on it.
so we had some plumbing
The
done too.
tower, that'll work.
And
You know, you get water from
I like
well.
this town so much that I went to the laundromat for 2 freaking years.
So I'm going to Greensboro in a couple weeks. I'll tell you how nice it is down there.
oh man, what are you doing then?
Just going to visit my daughters.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
They're at Greensboro College or?
One of them graduated from.
UNCG?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, she graduated, and the other one's going to school down there. But they both live down there, so we're going.
Which college?
She went to UNCG Greensboro.
Which program?
She was in psychology.
Psychology?
Okay.
Yeah, because the guy across the street from us when we lived down there was the dean at School of Business. Yeah, one of the deans. Ann Winkler. She wants to do some accounting program.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So, she likes it down
Oh, she loves it, yeah, she's happy down there.
We refinished floors.
Too bad they lost the ACC.
Yeah.
there? You know?
63 degrees and sunny right now.
Y'all have a great night.
Have a good evening.
When we got done, we did.
Did we lose David?
Yeah, sir, 5 minutes.
Oh.
But it was under $100,000.
Yeah, we have.
We got a big building.
I don't miss flooded basements.
Oh, we've been pumping water in 35 Temple.
Hey, are any of these
50
maps
years.
out here
We
for
didn't
sale?
do it that way, but we did.
Are any of these maps
We did it.
No, we have,
purchasable?
we have smaller versions, but
We
not,
got half the
not
roof
big
done.
ones.
Not the big ones?
No.
Okay. But you get them from, the geological survey.
Because I think,
We have Southwest Region Planning Commission do our maps for us.
Okay.
Jim, seeing as how we have a minute of open mic here.
A minute of open
No,
mic.
maybe not. I was just gonna ask the question, you had mentioned something last year about, a date when the town was actually established and doing something about it, like a Heritage Day or an Old Home Day, or, I'm just curious
I
as,
often wonder why the town of Ashby has a different date up on the sign. And I had also, I read the two town histories that I didn't read a page, but I read the stuff that was generic to the whole town. And what I discovered was that this town uses 1750 and has used it for a long time. But 1750 is the date supposedly that the first family showed up here, built a hut, stayed for the winter, okay? Instead of doing what you do. And there, going south was going to Groton. But anyway, it seems that we were incorporated temporarily in 1763. And if I remember what I read correctly, it was as Ipswich. And I may have the dates a little off, but anyway, it was for 3 years. But somehow it was supposed to be redone in 1766, but they forgot about it. I mean, we forget about things. Selectmen
some
do.
things never
Okay.
change, yeah.
Nothing changes. So in 1767, they were permanently incorporated as New Ipswich. So if you wanna go back to the date that we became a town, it took the name New Ipswich. I believe you have to go to 1767, and the thing's hanging on a wall over there. Okay?
I was just curious, cause you had mentioned it about maybe doing something
I
or
just
celebrating
thought
it,
throwing a
some,
party would be a good idea, I mean,
yeah. Well, I think it's something to think about anyway, cause
And I-
we've been talking about, different things to do in town as a board, so. Do you have a day or just a?
Well, I don't know if they got like Mardi Gras and have it go on forever.
No.
but-
Sorry, John.
That's all
No,
right.
I mean, we can toss it around.
I
do
just,
something.
I think it might be something to look into.
But this town has a lot, is tied to a lot of important American history.
Mm-hmm.
In New England, okay, it really is, I mean, on the town common is where they assembled from this whole area to go to Bunker Hill.
Yeah.
Or Breed's Hill, or whatever hill they wound up on, but, and there's been a lot of stuff here.
where's the town common?
Appleton,
No.
Academy Road.
No, over here,
Right.
out in front of the cemetery on Porter Hill. The meeting house was on Porter Hill.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Okay, it was the biggest building for 25 miles. This is all according to what I read, I wasn't there, I know I'm old, okay?
Well, I thought
And
you
that big open
roofed it.
space, what is it, Cook Road?
Which one?
Is that Cook Road that goes across there?
That would have been a continuation
That
of,
road from there, if you follow it,
Yeah.
will take you all the way to Smithville Cemetery. In pieces, not directly anymore, okay? But that road there, it comes out, the old town pound is there.
wasn't that Old Country Road? Old County Road?
I thought that's what it was, yeah.
It had some other names too.
Oh,
But anyway, that area there was a common. And it was a meeting house, you had a cemetery, the road came from the west, and it opened up like that, the town pound was over there. You can go up and walk around and
I
see
know, I
it.
used to ride bicycles, that brings you up on the Malt House, because we used to ride all the way up through.
And
Yeah.
I believe there's a stone with a plaque on it in the woods up there,
Where? For what?
where the meeting house was.
Oh,
Which they tore down probably around 1815 or 16, because parts of it were used to construct the building we were just talking about.
it's funny that you mention about the dates, because I was talking with Laurie the other day about getting the history of New Ipswich up on the new website. And it was, and that's why I had to refresh my, 62 and 66.
That was
Were the two-
62 and
yeah,
66?
yeah.
Okay.
So which one is it? I would have always gone with the 66, because that was when it was New Ipswich.
It became New Ipswich and the incorporation was permanent.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, whatever that, it's right on the papers. We have a copy of the paper hanging on the wall here, right? We did, yeah.
That the one, yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to read, but I mean, it's there.
Hmm.
And it would be great to take, you know, a summary of maybe a couple of paragraphs of the history of the town, put it up there.
Well, not that I wouldn't love to discuss the history of New Ipswich. I'd like to move on
no,
before we
yeah, I
have to
just, we had
start
a
with the
moment,
7
I just
o'clock.
wanted to see
Yeah,
if Jim was able
yeah.
to get any feet under that, so I thought I'd ask.
At the next meeting, when you guys come back, you can give us a new synopsis of. So what do you want to do with that?
Well, I think we've set a precedent, haven't we?
That's what I thought, because prior serving on the board was, we weren't going to accept any.
Right.
And then when I came on, they were accepting 2, then we accepted the 3rd. And now to say no, unless we have a basis to say why we'd say no, I don't.
Well, then reading that, I mean, and it's just reading that one paragraph that it was built to the specs the town asked for, and I believe they made the presumption that, that's all they needed to do for it to be accepted.
Well, I will say, having sat on the planning board, every single person that typically comes in, we tell them it's a private road, there's no guarantee the town's going to accept it. But if you want to get planning board approval, you need to build it to
To the
the
spec,
Part
yeah,
5.
which makes sense.
Yeah, I would think we should, at least look at it and see what the condition of the road is. I can't tell you, I've gone down Westbrook Drive, where it's
Driven down.
kinda like Fairbanks, yeah, you know, why bother
I
going
have no
down?
reason to go down it, but. Tell you what, top of Page Hill, just keep going straight.
Right where the sharp turn is? If you don't turn,
Oh, is that the one that I plowed, that one? No. this is-
no,
I hope
no,
not.
no.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, I did
I
buy
mean,
a
because
stick.
that was my,
It's
the
fine.
first 2 people are listed
It's
as
got a
Page
couple
Hill.
sack at the end.
Say that again?
It's all- yeah,
They're
it's all
listed as
paved.
Page Hill, not Westbrook.
Yeah, they were.
Is that
I
original?
think the
Because they did-
2 corner ones were part of that property, but
Yeah.
their actually, I think the one on the right
Comes off of Page Hill,
comes off of Westbrook. Oh, no, it is Page Hill.
the first one on the right.
Yeah, and then the one on the left
Comes off of
was
Page Hill.
supposed to come off of Westbrook, but they came off of, yeah.
I'm of a different opinion, but
So you as the selectman are gonna go look at it? Or do you want?
Well, I guess the first step is, as a board, should we be, because it's the dedication and acceptance, so they can dedicate, but doesn't mean you have to accept. The board has to I don't think we should be going out there and looking at road conditions or what needs to be improved, et cetera, if the board's decision were not to accept it. I would be of the thought where we've accepted 3 others now, that we should continue, otherwise we could be opening a can of worms.
That's my concern as well. We accepted Fairbanks, so I don't know how
Yeah.
we can in good conscience not at least go out and look at this one, so.
Yeah.
I would be of the same opinion.
Want to entertain a motion?
I'm gonna entertain a motion to take a walk. How do you want it? We don't want to accept, we want to,
Correct, we can't do that until you go
All
through the
the-
public hearings
right.
and all the other stuff, but, the Board of Selectmen. That's a good way. I'll make a motion, let me get my thought together. The Board of Selectmen, would consider accepting Westbrook Road based upon review, public hearing, and the necessary steps that need to be undertaken.
second.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
I'm opposed.
You need to speak.
Aye. Nay.
Okay,
I'm opposed.
so it's 2-1. Want to schedule a walk?
Sure.
A Tuesday evening or a Saturday?
Saturday's early work, or Tuesday evening, however you want to do it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Something work better?
Either one's fine.
How soon do you want to do it, I guess is the question. What do we have on a Tuesday agenda?
I'm thinking if it's a Tuesday, it'd have to be, 5 o'clock, and I'm wondering, do we rush back about
Why
Saturday?
5? Oh, you want to do it prior to a meeting?
Oh, you want to do it in lieu of?
Yes.
But, yeah, we'll have Ron bring the,
No.
the GoPro out. and-
Why don't we try a Saturday morning? Are you good on Saturday?
Yeah, so it's just, need to know which one.
All of them.
If it's all of them, then the answer is no. I'm
Today's
horrible on most of them.
Not available third Saturdays.
2, 3. I think that we should give notice that we're gonna be going there. I think this Saturday would be too soon. So you wanna go on the 28th?
I'm out of town. The 12th is like, if we're not doing it if we're not the 14th, then I'm not free again till the 12th.
You're looking at this Saturday. But you want to notify the butters, David, or people who live on the road, how you want to word it? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, did we notice Fairbanks when we went?
We noticed it, but we didn't notice.
We didn't notify the abutters.
No, yeah, we just talked with Earl, so we could
Do
talk.
you wanna do it on
Is it
Saturday,
Jim,
14th?
I can do 14th.
that's fine, what time we think?
5:30, 6?
If you want to wait till go that late, that's fine with me.
I wanted the sun up, no. It's 8 o'clock,
8 o'clock's good, yep.
good for you?
Yep.
Oh, that'll work out good. After we've done that, you guys can help me move a refrigerator.
Okay. Ms. Hoy, I presume?
Yeah,
Thank you for coming in.
you're welcome. Should I stay here or move
You
on?
can
Come on
pull
up
up
if you
right to a
like.
chair if you'd
Yeah.
like.
They're all the same.
This one has a paper clip with something, I didn't know if it's all the same.
Right, that one just has the questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you had sent in a proposal, looking at, replacement of existing light fixtures throughout, the town's municipal buildings, providing us with a potential cost savings and potential payback period. There are a few questions that we had asked. I don't know if you had seen these or
Yep, I
not.
have 'em.
Okay. Maybe if you could first, why don't you start with ground zero and give us a brief overview of what
Okay,
you do, what your expectations would be for the town, and
okay. We're a turnkey lighting retrofit provider. We're, one of Eversource's preferred contractors under their Small Business Energy Solutions program, which offers up to a 50% incentive depending on if it meets the qualifications or not. So what we do is we audit the energy savings analysis and the installation. So I was asked to look at the town hall, the DPW, just the bay. We looked at everything, but we focused on the bay. And the fire station, both the modules on that one side and then the garage on the other. So then I did a number of different, trying to get the project, in order for the project to meet Eversource's 50% incentive, it has to meet a benefit cost test. So on this spreadsheet, that very far right, the lifetime cost per kilowatt hour, they consider it a cost-effective project if that number is 0.80 or below. So I did a few different variations to see what we could do to get it to meet that requirement to get the 50%. So in that first block, that's doing all new fixtures, and all new fixtures in all of the buildings. And the only one that would be considered eligible for the 50% incentive is the DPW.
okay, you said 0.8 or below.
0.8 or below.
So these are all below 0.8. Did you mean 0.08?
I did mean 0.08, my
Okay.
apologies. That's exactly what I
So I'm
meant.
saying, we've got flying colors here.
Sorry about that. So just the DPW, and then I said, all right, the least cost option is to just replace the ballasts with new electronic ballasts, and then and take the T8 fluorescent tube and put an LED tube in. So that was that. That's that next tier down. So if we do that in this building, you're gonna get it at 0.074, the DPW doesn't change. The fire station, where the office and the training room in the back, it's not quite getting there, and then the fire station, the garage isn't getting there, and that's because the hours are so low. It's just not enough usage to make it cost effective. And then the third one, what did I do? Sorry for the spelling errors. There's only one A in ballast. I think I did all retrofit in that, trying to get it to be, yeah, so that last version, if I do all lamps and ballasts everywhere, I can get it, the 3, town hall, DPW, fire station, under the 50/50 program, but the garage, no matter what I do, I can't get that to pass.
Okay. I need a minute to try and refresh and digest what we're looking at here. So the first analysis, it's all new fixtures.
Correct.
And the DPW would qualify
I should back up a little bit. There's 2 programs. So there's the prescriptive program and the 50/50 program. The prescriptive will give you a little bit of money per fixture if it meets minimum watts required. So on these where you're seeing an estimated incentive, you're seeing money on each one. I'm combining programs, and that's why you're seeing those numbers.
Am I reading this correctly? Is on the first analysis, if we were to replace all the fixtures, it's gonna cost the town roughly $18,000.
Yes.
Now, did you take into account this room, since I think these were
These
just
are-
replaced?
Yeah, these are LEDs, so this room wasn't.
Okay.
I think we also wanna take the fire station offices off there, right? Because
The-
John and I don't wanna put any money into that.
The modulars, yeah,
Okay.
we're not putting any money in those.
They're gonna come down, or?
Well, they're not supposed to, we just spent a lot of money on a ventilation system that is supposed to no longer need those buildings.
Okay.
So no money will be going into those.
Okay.
Mark's like,
There's
what?
a story behind that.
Well, that's the opinion of two.
Yeah.
I wish I still had my camp, I could use those for
Yeah, there you go.
fun.
There you go.
So that will take roughly $5,700 off the 18. Well, no, I'm sorry, it'll take 2,666, assuming you wanted to do the fire station. Now, with the fire station, if I can, I think what, the chief was saying is in where the uniforms are, right?
Yeah.
She's worried about them getting hit and shattering.
Yeah.
So just, you know, if you did part of it, that if you went to an LED like strip where you don't have the exposed tube.
What does she have there now? I thought that was an acoustical ceiling with lay-in fixtures.
No,
it's-
that's not.
8 footers, truss and tubes.
Mhm.
Suspended down below the ceiling?
What would you replace them with? You'd replace them with,
LED strips,
you do the,
which are gonna be a thinner profile.
okay.
And, you know, it's gonna have the bar, so it's
Mhm.
not gonna.
You're talking these here.
I think so, sort of like that, but instead, they'd be narrower. They'd be-
Single lamp?
Yeah. Yep. But in the other part, in the garage where it's high bay, and they're not knocking into anything, you could certainly retrofit those rather than doing the panel. I mean, we can still get away with a tube in that case.
What do they have in there, 2x4 fixtures?
No, they're all,
No, it's
two
not.
lamp T12, 8-foot strips, no lens.
So if you were replacing the fixtures, what would you be putting in? The same thing?
Well, they would be LED fixtures.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
wouldn't have the tubes anymore if I was replacing the fixtures. It would be a panel, and there would be a lens on it, so it'd be similar to this, but I would be putting in a narrower
There'd be a reason why you wouldn't go with a lay-in fixture?
because of the ceiling type that you have right now. It's not a drop ceiling.
Yeah, it is.
Is there
Yeah.
a drop ceiling in
Yeah.
there? Well, then I'd have to look at what's above it and see if how much room we have and what the wiring and the, you know, if there's any pipes, sprinkler systems or whatever in there, I'd have to see.
There's no
too.
sprinkler.
Because we didn't look at that.
Yeah.
The, you know, least cost is just,
Well, that's
Make it
the main thing
down
that
to
I'm
about-
looking at, is I'm saying, and again, we gotta look at all three options, but like with the first option is if we're replacing fixtures, we should be going with the most appropriate fixture for that space. Like, these here would not be probably what I would've,
what's appropriate isn't necessarily a troffer, lay-in troffer either. I'm having a hard time remembering, it's been a while since I was here. I'll look at it
Yeah,
again and see what.
yeah.
I'm gonna say,
see what
cause in
it
that
is.
uniform room, you could put a 2x4 flat panel LED.
If it is, and
And
you're
then
saying it is, and there's room above, and we're not gonna,
There's no issues, the flat panels, they aren't any thicker than a ceiling tile. That's-
right, they're thin.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
the driver
Right, that
cover,
might
but
be,
that's pretty
yeah.
thin. What was I gonna say, wiring is, the fire station, so I'm assuming all the wiring is up to code, so.
I doubt it, I
So-
doubt it.
Because if we
Don't
take
make
the-
that assumption.
If we are relocating fixtures, then we're gonna own the wiring, so if I'm just taking one fixture down and putting one up right where it is, then I don't have to worry about code, because I'm not moving things around. But
Mhm.
as soon as I start moving things around, if it's not Romex, I have to bring it up to code, and that's gonna add cost.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd have to move anything, just a different fixture,
It's a
not a
different
Yeah.
different spot.
pattern though, so we're going from an 8-foot linear to either a two by four or 2x2, it's a different pattern, you wanna make sure, and it's pretty low ceiling over there.
But you're
so
just
you
gonna
wanna-
daisy chain your wiring, right?
Not necessarily, there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. So, I need to have the right grid to make sure that you're getting the right light distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But with
So-
the wire one to the next one, so you hit one switch, they all turn on?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I let the electricians deal with that part of it.
Yeah, I don't want them all on their own switch.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually,
We might want.
my question would be, what about sensors?
we can
Has that
put-
been factored in?
I have to go back and look at it, I apologize, in some areas probably, in other areas
I
probably
think you
not.
did
Yeah.
at the highway garage.
At the highway garage, definitely.
I would-
Sensors on those.
Well, I
would
think
think
both
we
of
do
the
it at the
bays,
fire,
yeah, you
yeah,
want it
'cause
at the
them
fire
guys are out of there
station.
in trucks
The
and
bays, I
they're
might-
just gone,
Yeah.
there's nobody hanging on, shut lights off. So,
Right.
But for LEDs, they don't use much.
yeah, true.
But, you know, LEDs don't use much, but when they're turned off, they don't use anything.
The other, the last question we had on here, and I didn't see it addressed, is, what about exterior lighting at the, town park?
No, we didn't look at that.
No.
We only looked at,
we
I think
mentioned that.
that's where we could have a big savings,
absolutely,
is those lights are on, you know, until
Randomly.
later in the evening, so they come on early, especially in the winter.
Sodium vapors, is that what those are?
I think those might be metal halide, maybe.
I can look at it on my way out today if you tell me where I can.
As soon as you go down the hill,
Yeah,
take a left, it's on the left.
okay.
Yeah.
By how many lights are there?
10, I'd guess.
No, you think this?
Yeah, I'd say there's 10, there might be 12.
It's in a park, it will be obvious,
Yeah,
to me-
yeah,
obvious to
yeah.
me.
I don't know if
Yeah.
the lights on, they're on timer, so.
They're probably on now.
They should be on until
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Yeah,
So they go off at 9?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them on 20.
And there's also the lights at the pool, which is,
Are the pool,
There
I was
also.
counting those.
it's right there, it's at the same
are
area.
those on in the winter then?
Unfortunately, I think they're on that same circuit probably, and, we have security cameras, so that light might be on for security.
Alright, so, I mean, you really, from like 5 o'clock in the winter, 4 o'clock would be the earliest that they're
Yeah, probably
going
4,
on
yeah.
until 9?
9,
But the one at the pool, I think is on all the time. The one outside the
I think
building.
so, yeah.
Alright, I'll look at it. Again, that's not that many hours that they're on, so we can, and exterior fixtures tend to be pretty expensive, so we'll look at it, but it's not necessarily as much of a savings as you might think it's gonna be because of the usage is still relatively
Okay.
low. But I can still look at it.
And if maybe once you look at that, if you could give us, this, I'm talking, I don't know what your feelings are, is
Keep
I'd
going.
like to see what some of these light fixtures would look like.
Sure,
Right.
yeah,
What our
absolutely.
options would be.
So are you leaning more toward the new fixture as the, new fixtures as the option that you'd want to do?
I think for the cost difference of all these options, you know, for another 50% to get a new fixture that is more appropriate for a space that you can, like here, we just replaced everything in kind. Now, this room's very bright,
It is very.
you know, you could have gone with less fixtures
Yeah.
in a different,
Yeah.
with a different fixture. and-
So with the, like in the, Joanne's office, are you Joanne?
Yes.
Hello, Joanne. You have a lot of fixtures in your office too, and I was thinking about that, whether or not to reduce the number of fixtures, and I think it would be wise. I didn't in this proposal, but I think it would be wise, but, the ceiling type, we're not gonna patch it, so if we well, you guys are cool with that, you get to patch it?
Yeah.
All right, cause I can definitely, we can relocate them and move, and reduce the number, cause there's a lot. And in that open space, there's a lot. Yeah, and I did think about doing, I think, daylight control in that open area. But if I recall, I don't think the lights were turned on that day that
No,
we
they very
came.
seldom have on.
So in that case, then if they're not on,
Yeah.
there's no
What's
reason to
hanging
add
down from
cost
the
to
ceilings,
it.
the fixtures, do you know? What's out there?
In the middle? I have no idea.
I'm
More
sitting there
just-
going,
They're stripped
They're wraps.
like these.
Are they?
I don't wanna see those go back up.
No, I'd
There are
rather-
just so many other options.
I'd rather see,
that
some-
it's-
yeah, just some nice squares or something, you know, that,
Those can
just-
lights,
yeah.
anything, yeah. I'm
Can
gonna-
lights would mean we're opening up the ceiling.
I gotta go take a look.
So, the type of ceiling here, I can do.
I think a
can
can
do
light
like
is more for an accent, to light up that
Yeah,
foyer would be difficult with can lights.
yeah.
yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, just like some nice squares.
Yeah, you
instead
need
of
to use a
something-
The
2x2.
so like the flat panel, either like a 2x2, and it would just be a surface mount kit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna put those back.
Do you guys mind if, after this, I just go refresh my memory?
Please do,
Yeah.
and if you could just get back to us with, you know, if you have to redo the sheet.
Okay. All right, you asked if the rebate program is still in effect. Yes, it is. It's a first come, first served program, so.
What else first?
Yeah.
I know January 1st, everybody's at the door with their applications, and that's why I had asked, is it still?
Yeah, this year there's, the system's benefit charge is an increase, so that's that little charge we all
Yeah.
get. So there's a little bit more money, but there's more people after it. So far, so good. As we get closer to the, end of the year, it goes away. We had one year, we were done in June, and that was a very bad thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so you'll come back to us next Tuesday with what we're looking for.
Can you give me a little bit more than that?
Take your time.
Okay.
Take your time, there's
Okay.
always next year.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go snap away.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. New fixtures, good sensors, and the DPW and the fire station, this makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays it's code, so I don't know why they wouldn't have.
I know Dan guys did that, new fixtures and sensors, they love it, the whole place.
I can't see putting new bulbs in your fixtures.
Yeah, because I just see something going wrong.
Right.
How long have they been there?
Yeah, how long is your ballast gonna last, you're gonna be replacing the ballast?
Well, that's it, I mean, I've bought LEDs for my house, and they're supposed to last X amount, and because the fixtures are old fixtures, I'm burning through those just as fast as I burn through anything else.
Yeah, right.
But that's it, like in my bathroom, I wanna do the same thing, just like a 12 by 12 square.
Is this from last
He's
week
got-
or something new?
I thought you were gonna take her around and show the rest of the buildings again, no? Have a good evening, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark,
Welcome home, Mr. Kotzen.
I'm gonna need a hand moving the refrigerator Saturday, these guys won't help me.
I'll give you a
I'll
hand.
give you a call,
Yeah,
alright. Alright, I'll call you probably 9:30ish.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of April 3rd.
There a second?
You have two different sets of minutes with this and
Yeah.
non-public? Oh, okay, all right, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the non-public minutes of April 3rd.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I sign the back?
Yeah, the other one you had.
You want to take a few minutes and go through the status of the current budget, where we are? Looks like this is the first quarter, so we should be in the 25% range. Are we able to delete this town clerk yet?
We can't, yeah.
Not yet.
That's right. About 28% there. I couldn't believe, I was very shocked when we had 112 streetlights.
Yeah, had more than that back, the first streetlight committee. Are we gonna appoint a streetlight committee?
I thought the board was gonna go and look at each one of them and determine, what are you laughing at?
Bring your gun.
Jay, we gotta
Shoot 'em
do
out while
something,
we're
you
there.
know, we can't just come on two. What was that?
I said, I told him bring his gun, we could just shoot him out while we're there.
Looking at this.
Mr. Visa. I'm appalled at hearing something like that coming from you.
I didn't say it. No,
But did I hear you say okay?
I think he seconded.
I didn't second it. Right. The assessors have burnt through half of their budget.
That's
Look
what
at
I
that.
was noticing, but it's shot dollar one, I'm assuming they must have gone to a class.
The assessors?
Yeah,
It's a
They were at,
$23,000 budget.
42%.
Oh, they have 13,
Yeah.
yeah. Why is that so low?
Well, it
Yeah.
looks like they paid their dues, they bought supplies. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong column. Current year expenditures. Computer
overrated.
service.
Yeah, they've overspent a couple lines.
Yeah, not very much.
And the tax map. So do we have new tax maps?
Yeah,
Really?
they're just updated each year.
Those in the rack?
Yes,
So they're updated?
yes. Any changes that were made are, those maps are updated.
Okay.
No, was that
No,
what-
just the ones that, yeah.
Was that what he was in though last week? He said there was,
He brought in, you mean Frank?
Yeah.
Is that who you meant? Yeah, there was an error in coding, so for the computer services, it had the tax maps in that line.
oh, okay,
So it was just a matter of moving it.
okay. I wasn't, I
Yeah.
just remembered all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, he came back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they have spent quite a bit already.
Did you see
DPW's,
the selectmen's key?
Yeah,
And,
I noticed that.
Did you, I circled all the ones that were concerned.
DPW, he's
And DPW.
third of the way through his budget.
Hang on, let's do one at a time. What were you,
I wasn't worried about much.
Heat.
He only has 35% left.
so we got $606 left.
Mhm. Yeah, but that's the year, so.
We got summer coming up. We
And
better
then
not
we
be
have
heating.
fall and winter.
Yeah, that doesn't start until
You
November.
wanna go through this every line? Is that?
No, she
No,
just
I just
noticed
went-
some.
I was gonna say.
I just went through and,
I kinda did the same thing
Yes.
earlier, I just kinda
Line
scanned.
by line. How else are you?
No, I'm looking at the bottom line, I'm not looking at line by line.
oh, okay.
Anything that's blatantly obvious, it's like, okay, why is that? That's why I pointed out the one I did.
So we should be at around 75%.
Yeah, we're-
Right, yeah.
We're at 72, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I pointed out the excessive.
Yeah.
But everybody else is running pretty good,
So
low to, low
GGB,
70s.
well, I'm again looking at my items, so.
That's why DPW just stuck out, cause it was at like 60.
Well, you look at it, we're over on salt.
66, okay,
There's 10 grand, almost 11 on salt.
Yeah, overtime is, that's a huge hit right there. We've gone through half our overtime already.
Yeah.
Heat. Okay.
Well, they're gonna be pretty cold next.
Yeah, and they, but overtime's gonna go up because it looks like they're gonna be pushing the trucks. I do have to thank them though, I still have, I got to keep a couple fillings today going down my road, so that was nice. They patched graded.
You mean on that dirt road that you moved in on?
Yeah, it is. But I said, it was nice though.
you knew that road was dirt when you moved there, right?
I did, I did.
You
But
know, it's probably gonna be dirt after you move on.
probably so too. Yeah.
No, it's gonna be right after he moves that it gets paved.
Yeah, Conservation Committee, they've, gone through.
I'm
a chunk of their
gonna
budget.
drive back, just speed down the road.
But I suppose when you have a $958
Yeah.
budget,
Yeah.
it's kinda hard not to spend it.
Cause they've only, I think they've only spent one line.
Yeah. So all in all, things look
Yeah.
good.
Is the Heritage Commission aware that they have a budget?
Who?
Heritage?
Yes.
Okay. How are our revenues?
They didn't, the print those for next time.
Yeah, just to see how we're tracking compared to
No,
what we had
like you said.
estimated.
There's just nothing, so it was getting.
Thank you for doing that.
You couldn't even drive around the
Can't
halls
drive
anymore.
Uh,
It was bad.
We got in
Especially
them,
coming off the tar on the dirt.
Yeah, that's miserable. Coming down the hill.
Yeah.
It's from people breaking, and that's why it's always, it's tough to keep that smooth.
Yeah. Just when you come off the tar into the dirt, it was bad. Like there was no, like normally there's at least like one way you can kind of slide and go around. No, there was nothing left.
what is it?
It just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
The holes in
holes. But
so they fill it?
yeah, they just kind of patch grade and everything, but it's like I said, it was nice. Like I said, but it, out of habit, I came up, standing the brakes, was, oh, nice.
So now he started a new gully.
Nope,
it.
nope,
That's what happens, people break when they come, and that's how you get your start of your holes.
I don't do that.
And then people.
I don't brake. I wait till I get on the tar, then you brake.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement on, we should send a second notice to, Board of Realty regarding their sign,
Yes.
since they haven't done anything with the first?
That's the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. The LGC advised that we would need to do a warrant article to create a Finance Advisory Committee. So you guys can both remember in the fall that we'll put together.
We need to do that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So this year, we're on our own.
yeah.
So I just say, you know, just make sure people are well aware, you know, watch the videos, come to the meetings if they have questions, if they're concerned. But, I mean, still welcome, but, yeah, unfortunately this year we won't have something in place.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, I'm making presumptions that everybody knows what we're talking about, just, but, for those that do watch the video and to inform them, is that the board had discussed appointing a finance advisory committee to replace the, official budget committee that's been abolished. And the New Hampshire Municipal Association, who provides us with, legal advice at no cost, had indicated that, per RSA 3224, that would need to be a warrant article to establish an advisory budget committee, which I believe the board is in favor of.
Correct.
Yes.
And, so, next year's ballot will have that question. Joanne, I had just scanned through this letter that we got from, the
As
Division
did I.
of Parks and Rec, and it's quickly reading it, sounds like we got funding at one point in time that they're telling us about and that we can't make changes or whatever.
So
Not
did
aware of
we
what
get-
it was.
I thought you would know that. The pool was built with federal funds, right?
That's what I understand.
Yeah, that goes back to,
Yeah, we're going back
yeah.
I mean, I don't-
15 years ago, probably.
Do you think that's what they're referring to?
So did you look at the next page?
Yeah, it does, maybe 20.
And it says New Ipswich Parks, New Ipswich, Project ID, and then another Project ID, New Ipswich Conservation Park,
No, there was a pool.
which I don't know what a conservation park is.
I didn't know either.
So can we just presume that we can file this and not worry about anything, because it just says that we can't, where did it say?
One time we were charging.
It says project sites assisted by other, are required to be inspected every 5 years by this office to ensure program compliance. The attached page provides a list of unaudited projects the town of New Ipswich has sponsored according to our program files. Please verify this list with any records your office may have. If you have questions, contact them. So if you can contact them, tell them as far as we know we're in compliance, but if they can let us know what projects,
Yeah, right.
you wanna leave it in here?
Sure.
Okay. Also. That's legal. Okay, signed. That I was gonna talk to you about, you can cancel that. You can cancel that at any time. Local workshops. You've seen this already, right?
And I signed it only because but I am more inclined to cancel that and have something through the town instead of through
Yeah.
an individual.
Yeah,
You wanna do it this year?
you can do it, you can just come up, tell them to cancel it and
And then
redo it.
and redo it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And it's not in the budget.
I'm sure your budget can absorb that. Nothing else?
I just wanted to address that, the question about the compactor, that's been repaired, so now cardboard and trash compactor should be up and running on Saturday without any issues. And Brownie will be getting back to us in the very near future on the contract with regards to the
Good.
hauling. And with a price on the third compactor that we asked for plastics.
Well, we have the price. That should have been in his proposal,
Oh, okay,
if that was requested.
all right.
We're just curious is what the lead time would be to get that. And, yeah. I'm just trying to think, where would that get set up?
You have power on that pole across from the attendant station where they usually park. The same size as the, where the plastics are now, would probably make the most sense.
Well, we should have Peter put together a plan for that transfer station, because I don't know how the people, like now, you come in, you hit this station, you keep going. If it's on the,
True.
call it the downhill side,
Right.
that's gonna,
And
could
again,
become-
we still haven't replaced any signage up there. We've had this discussion, but ongoing. I'm gonna see him on Thursday morning, I hope, anyway, and I'll bring up some of these points, topics of discussion.
the only sign I thought we talked about previously was to direct them to the compost.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I also, I thought we talked about arrows and one way.
That the last conversation, I remember that Peter was supposed to be addressing, and this was back with Gary, because Gary was saying he thought that there was a more efficient way of inspecting stickers and diverting
Right,
traffic, something about setting up.
put one guy up top.
Yeah, and he and Peter were supposed to come up with a plan for how that could work, which hasn't happened.
I can talk to him.
All right,
Hope to see him on Thursday morning. I can't do Wednesdays because I have a prior commitment Wednesday morning.
work,
Huh?
work,
No,
Oh.
at 6 o'clock, it's
Yeah.
actually kinda early. And then I wanted to talk about background checks. I think, we've tied our own hands and made them so restrictive that they take too long. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one thinking that way, but there's gotta be something we can do to expedite the process of hiring somebody.
But which one took the time? Is it the background or the driving record?
They were pretty much the same. I think the motor vehicle took the longer one.
Yeah.
But also with Peter Foley wanted him to have a pre-employment physical.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you had to go to the hospital and do that. And then he had to go for a drug test. So there were a couple extra things involved with him, not just the two background
Mhm.
things. So, I mean, I think that extended the time somewhat. But the other ones do take 2 to 3, well, closer to 3 weeks to get those back.
Well, we've had the discussion previously, is to get a background check, doesn't take any time at all. Now, motor vehicle apparently does. Because I know if we wanted to, we can send somebody up there
Mhm.
and they will do it while you wait, a background check. But a motor vehicle, I don't know of any way of doing that. I have no experience with it, so.
And nor do I, that's why I bring it up to discuss, because
Yeah.
it just seems like it's,
Well, I know I don't know how in-depth it is, but, I mean, when you apply for car insurance, you give them your information, they pull it up in minutes,
you're driving record.
your driving record. I mean, cause that's how they give you your rates. So, I mean, you plug it in, you give them some information, and boom, they go, oh, well, this is your rate based on you've had an accident, 3 speeding tickets, whatever, in this amount
But
of
they are
time.
looking at insurance reporting, they're not getting it from the state. You know, if I get a ticket, it's gonna go against my insurance. Well, the insurance companies make that available to all insurance companies, so that when I say, okay, he just raised my rate, I'm gonna go to company ABC, well, they can look at the same thing.
Right, but what I mean is, is there some other database available that you can get that? I mean, meaning, instead of waiting for, if it's available through the insurance database, why don't we have access to that instead of, I'm assuming that is that something that our insurance company would provide us if we gave them information instead of going through the other background check? I'm just
Yeah,
trying
I know.
to speed it up.
The other thing is, could you make a call to them and ask them if there's a way that, driving records can be expedited? In other words, if we brought it up and did both of them at the same time, is there?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if you send the person up with it and you say, listen, or send somebody from here up.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that a new employee is gonna take the time to go up and get it done.
Yeah. Whereas we could have somebody here do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just wanted to discuss it.
I'm just
so glad
wondering
we are.
whether or not, the thing that's went through my mind is, if we're going to the state for the record check, and it might be something that he can't do, but I'm thinking, why wouldn't the police be able to know, get that information?
They should be able to get your driving
Yeah.
record.
But I don't know if there's I thought that there was a requirement that they can't do a check on somebody unless it's
For
in the
specific.
process of,
right,
yeah, yeah. But
No, he said he can't.
he can't do it, okay.
I remember when we first started this.
So then, down at Vanguard, and I applied, and even here, I think it was like a week, and they had an answer, 3 days. I don't remember it taking forever to get my driving record.
I don't know.
I'll do some research, I'll call them, see if they can help us.
reappointing or continuing with the, what did we call the volunteers last year for the garden
Garden club?
garden club,
Yeah.
whatever. Do you think there's still interest there?
I talked to Debbie about it, but, yeah, I think they are.
Well, I was driving back the other day, I said, oh, there's another spot. Took the back road from Temple into Tarrant and thought, oh, that, why where Stoll Road and Temple Road goes, if,
We've always talked about doing something with that intersection.
But you can't do something on someone else's.
we could ask them,
Right.
well, we must be within the town's right of way.
You,
No.
where Stoll and Temple Road split? Is that-
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all paved, we own all that.
it's not paved.
So where are you then? I'm not.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it's not paved, in other words, Temple Road goes to the
off
right.
to the right.
Stoll Road goes up.
Right.
I'm talking in that dirt area that's there. It's not paved,
Are you sure?
yeah.
Um,
Right.
okay. I will, I'll take a ride, cause I remember when we paved that, I'm like, I think we paved that right up to the wood line, but I could be
No.
wrong. Anyway, it wasn't once before.
I'm pretty sure I'm seeing out, and that would be one way to keep.
Yeah, well, it's,
Because when I talked to Debbie, we talked about town properties, and the only one is that one that walks downtown. And like the signs, around the signs.
there's
Yeah.
that little island over on Page Hill, Benny Hill, that's,
But that lady does that one.
Yeah, there's people that do all those.
Yeah.
So remember
Okay.
we found that last
Yeah.
year?
you're right, now we'll talk about it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're,
I'm just thinking of spots where they are.
yeah,
Yeah, well, what I'd like to see is even if we couldn't get boxes and put them on that rail of the, High Bridge.
Yeah, I have no opposition, I would have to talk to the state, right? No, we're not gonna.
Come
just-
on,
Need to get permission from the state. I can't
or
imagine.
forgiveness, one or
Can't
the
imagine
other.
they'd say no, what's that?
Or forgiveness,
Can't imagine they'd say no.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cause I'm sure it would have something to do with the width and overhang and all that.
Oh, another thing I was thinking about, for a draw, you were talking about some people, we should, and that's why I was going with Jim, I was doing a little fishing to see if he had anything going on. But, even a half marathon or something in town, on a day that we've got something else going on. You know what I mean? Or even a marathon, I don't know how you get 26 miles in Ipswich, but
Well,
I'm trying to map it out in my head.
yeah. Well, they do
I'm
the,
not running it.
I was just,
there's quite a few that happen in town
yeah,
throughout the
they're
year.
normally 5Ks,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's that
Yeah.
one that they have, the one that they run through the woods at night in the freezing cold, with them, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like.
Here?
Yeah, it's like a half marathon they do in the strangest weather. I've seen it in the paper, I can't remember the name of it, but,
Hmm.
yeah.
I know that running club does one of the 5Ks, and then I know they, Somro does one for that
yeah,
fundraiser.
for Nika,
Yeah.
I think the Valhalla does one, then, the St. Vincent de Paul does theirs.
Yeah,
In town?
but that's in
Yeah.
Greenville, isn't it?
No, it's here now because they, they didn't like them running out on 31.
So we're running down 124.
But it's only for, for a much shorter period, yeah. Yeah,
Was, they did it last year? Yeah?
2 years, past 2 years they've done it here in
Huh?
town.
The only one I was aware of was that, Hope for Nicker, and then the
Yeah.
other one I mentioned, those are the only two. I
Yeah,
know of.
and then the, Booster Club does one,
Hmm.
the Messianic Boosters
Was
Club
that
does
the one
one.
they do on, Alumni Weekend or something? Yeah.
So they're pretty popular, so.
Yeah, so you got quite a few 5Ks that run through town, yeah.
Anyway, another thought.
But no, it seems, but I mean, you look at it, Temple does them quite regularly, and, I mean, it seems to be popular enough, a lots of
Short
people-
ones, or 5Ks, I was
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
of,
Yeah, like a half
half
marathon.
marathon, or even a marathon, you know.
Yeah.
You could run, I didn't, like I said, I ain't running it, but,
No, but just to put them on,
Logistics,
I
all
mean, you know, you think you can get first aid, your EMT, it's.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just a thought.
Mhm.
You wanna look into it and report back how you're gonna
I can,
organize all of that?
I can talk to, I know a guy, that's what he was doing for a living, was putting on marathons.
And I'm wondering if
Set.
the rec department doesn't put one on as part of one of the other,
Like Fall Fest.
yeah.
Right,
type
that's what
thing.
I'm thinking, something, combine it with something else, cause there's a lot of people out there that enjoy running. I mean, if I'm running, you better start, cause something's chasing me.
Yeah. You ever see me running, stay in front of me.
Right. I had a guy drive by me one time, I was walking down the road. He drove by, I get to work, I was working down in Vanguard. I said, how come you didn't give me a ride? He said, I thought you were out for a walk. I said, if you ever see me walking, my vehicle broke down.
Yeah.
Don't go by.
I know.
Jeez, what's wrong with you?
And then the same thing, I locked my keys in my car one time at the post office, and someone's like, I saw you walking. I'm like, yeah, thanks for the ride. I'm like, did I look like I was dressed for walking? Wearing dress shoes and a tie. Yeah, that's what everyone wears when they go for a leave.
Upgrading,
Yeah.
running from,
Walking down Turnpike.
Yeah.
So I can go get his, so I can go to the Brett's garage and get him to come unlock my car. They're like, why didn't you call? Where do you think my phone was? In the car. Motion to adjourn?
a second,
I think that's all I got. A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.